So I've been using the Pimax Crystal Super for a few weeks now, and I've been making videos on various games that I've been playing with this headset, and also, you know, behind the scenes I've been playing some of the stuff that I've not made videos on. But I wanted to make this video just to have a quick discussion on what I think about the headset overall, really, after that period of time. And I'm going to try and keep this brief. It's not going to be absolutely exhaustive or anything like that. I'm just going to give some overall impressions with it. And I thought I'd start off with some of the positives, and I'll probably be looking over in that direction a little bit because I've made a list of some of the bullet points that I want to hit on in this video, but it's not scripted. I'm just going through some bullet points, so bear with me on that. But one of the first positives about this headset is the form factor. It is probably the best, well, it's not even probably, so far of all the Pimax headsets that I've used, this is easily the best form factor that they've produced. It's more in line with, as I mentioned in my original video, like a Valve Index kind of size, maybe slightly bigger in some ways, but overall I think it's sort of mimicking some of those traditional, more early days VR headsets with that form factor. And of course it's using those aspheric lenses with these LCD displays, which do have this mini LED backlight as well, so you've got that local dimming with this. So for those specs, this is sort of the form factor that you get. You've got the Somnium VR1 as well, and that's a very big headset as well because it's using a similar kind of optical system. So I do really think they've improved the form factor compared to the original Crystal and with the Crystal Lite. And I mistakenly said in my original video that this is actually a little bit heavier than the original Crystal, but I was mistaken in saying that because it's not. It's a little bit heavier than the Crystal Lite. And I do feel much more comfortable in this headset when I use it than I do with the original Crystal. So I think they've done a great job with that. So yeah, comfort wise, I'm having no problems with this. And the other thing is, with the original Crystal, after a while I really got used to that as well. So I didn't have a huge issue with the original Crystal, but I can certainly see why people would have had more of a problem with the original Crystal than they might have with this. It just feels better balanced overall, really, but it is still front heavy. But I said in a reply to a comment to my original video that it's not enough for me to like make a point of saying that in the initial impressions. But I'll say it here, it is sort of front heavy as well, of course, as you would imagine with something that looks a little bit like this on your face. It's gonna feel a little bit like that. The other positives as well, the initial setup, I had no issues at all with the initial setup. The software just worked. I already had the Pimax Play software installed, so I just connected this, it detected it straight away. No issues with connection at all, as I have had occasionally in the past, but not really too much. But I know some people do have issues with the Pimax Play software, but I can honestly say I've had zero issues in terms of like software or setup with this headset at all. So that's another good thing. Of course, the other thing with this headset, the thing that makes it stand out more than anything else, is the resolution of those displays. So it's 3840 by 3840 per eye. The displays look fantastic. The black levels are great. They're so close to being OLED. I've got a PlayStation VR 2 as well, which I use now and again for both PC and on the PS5 as well. And these displays are so close. And I think it's the combination of that mini LED backlight, but that combined with the high resolution of this headset, everything looks perfect really in this. I mean, in air car, it really does look fantastic. So there's no issues with regards to the displays. It's the clearest image I've seen in VR to date from all the headsets that I've tried. That's not to say it's not devoid of some optical issues as well. I think that people do have issues with the focal distance in this headset. Some people do have problems with just it feeling slightly uncomfortable optically, as I've mentioned in some of my other videos as well. So I can understand where they're coming from with that. I find the more I use this headset, the less I feel that I'm getting any kind of eye strain or anything like that. Your eyes tend to get a little bit more acclimatized to it, I suppose, after you use it a little bit more. But you shouldn't really have to do that. That's the thing. It's like I'll put on a Quest 3. Immediately, there's no eye strain. There's no problems there at all. The Valve Index, no eye strain. The Vive, the Rift CV1 is one I did have a little bit of eye strain with. So, you know, some headsets are better than others for certain people. But I can understand why people do complain a little bit about the optics in this headset. At the same time, I I'm well past that now. I've used it quite a bit and I'm absolutely fine with it. But I don't want to take that away. I do think that people need to be aware of that as well. So getting on to some of the neutral points. I'll go through some neutral points first and then I'll get on to the negatives. Neutral points, right, this is a weird one. I don't know if this is neutral or not. It's the resolution of this compared to the original Crystal or the Crystal Lite. Yes, it's much higher. You look at that render resolution in this headset. If you max it out or get it to 100% in SteamVR, you're getting 6200 by 6200 per eye. That's the render resolution that you need in order to achieve that native resolution within the center of these displays while you're using it. That is a huge resolution, way more even than the original Crystal, which is, you know, that's a ridiculously high resolution as well. I do think that you get diminishing returns, and I do think that this is not so much of a leap as some people might expect it to be. It's better and it's clearer, and overall, if you absolutely want the best display, then this is the one to get. But is it worth the upgrade over the original Crystal or the Crystal Lite? I don't know. And there's other factors with that as well that I'll get into in a second. The other thing is the form factor. So I mentioned this in the positives, and it is a positive. It's much better than any other Pimax Crystal headset, but it's still a big form factor. And in an age where every other manufacturer seems to be moving towards these micro OLED displays with pancake lenses, or even pancake lenses paired with LCD displays where you can get a smaller form factor, because those lenses can be positioned closer to the displays than in a traditional VR headset like this, where it uses aspheric lenses or Fresnel lenses. They have to have a bigger gap between the displays and the lenses themselves. So that's why we get these big form factors. I do think it's more of a neutral thing, because I think this headset is going to quickly look a little bit dated. Not that most people really care about how a headset looks, as long as it's giving them the best experience, I suppose, especially for sim gaming and that kind of stuff. So maybe that's not really a negative point. That's why I've put it in this neutral category. I think that some people will be bothered by the big form factor of this headset. Others just take it as a necessary byproduct of getting that best image quality that they can get in the games that they want to play. But yeah, we can get on to the negatives now. I've got a little list here. So the hardware to run this headset is the first thing. Now, I've got a RTX 5080, and this is really, so I've overclocked my RTX 5080 to the point where I'm getting similar or slightly better 3D Mark scores over a 4090. Now, that's not to say that there's not other problems, because the 5080 doesn't have as much VRAM as a 4090. So I'll get other problems when I'm trying to max out performance in this. But so this is effectively, you've got the 5090 is the best GPU that you can really get to pair with this headset at this moment in time. Then second to that is probably the 4090, and then a close third to that is probably the 5080. I've probably got a close third best GPU that you can get to pair with this headset, right? It's not enough. It's simply not enough to max it out. There's no point in me playing most of the games that I want to play with this headset over the original Pimax Crystal or the Crystal Lite in sheer like resolution terms, because I can't max out the resolution in a lot of stuff anyway. So that sort of makes that point a waste of time anyway. However, you've got a bigger field of view in this headset, so that can make up for certain things. You can run it at a lower resolution, still play the games effectively on my 5080, have that bigger field of view, and also you've got that pixel density within these displays as well, which can just make things look slightly better, even if you're running at a similar resolution to the original Crystal. So, but that's a minor thing, you know. I don't want to say that that's going to be a major thing or anything like that. So my issue is really you need the best GPU available at this moment in time to take full advantage of this headset. And you could argue, well, okay, well, I could get this headset, get a 5090, or even wait for the next generation of GPUs. And I'm future-proofing myself. I'm getting this headset now, and then, you know, it's going to last me years and years and years. And that's well and good and it may well do that. The only problem with that is I don't think there's any such thing as necessarily future-proofing yourself with VR headsets at this moment in time. Personally, that's how I feel anyway. I just feel like you can get this headset and think it's going to last you 3-4 years into the future because these resolutions are going to definitely stand the test of time into that point. But is it really going to give you all of that going forward? Because we're going to get iterations beyond this which give you better VR headsets with the similar resolution but in a smaller form factor. They've got more features and all of these other things. The iteration in VR is so quick that I don't know if there's such a thing beyond future proofing, like beyond, say, 2 years. And maybe that's enough. You can pick this up, have this headset for 2 years, and you know you're going to be getting the best experience. That's just where this is just a few thoughts I'm having, really. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer with this. I'm just saying that I personally wouldn't pick this up in the hopes that this is going to future-proof you. We all know Pimax will bring out new headsets. They've already got new headsets in the pipeline anyway, but also other manufacturers and other companies are going to be bringing out VR headsets anyway, which might supersede this as well. And this is sort of a good price, though. That's the thing. So you're going to get a lot of VR headset manufacturers, like the Somnium VR1. They are bringing out a great VR headset, but it's only got the same resolution as the original Crystal, and it's very, very expensive. Pimax are delivering what is really, a fantastic product for a relatively cheap price. It's still very expensive, but it's relatively cheap for what they're offering in here. So I'm in two minds about all of this stuff. So I'm just sort of rambling a little bit as I go through some of these points, and other things coming into my head as I go through this as well. But let's get on to a few of the other negatives anyway with this. So the main problem I'm having at the moment is with the tracking. This is headset tracking, right, that I'm talking about here. And the big problem I'm having is most of the time it's fine, but then intermittently what will happen is I'll turn my head all of a sudden in a game and it just won't move, and then it will catch up. And it's literally like 1 or 2 seconds lag between me turning my head and then the image catching up. Let me just say again, this is happening rarely, but it does happen when I use it. Now, apparently, so I contacted Pimax about this, and they said that my 5800X 3D CPU that I've got, the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D, is below minimum specs for this headset. So the minimum specs for this are actually a Ryzen 7700X, and so that's a generation beyond what I've got. And when I look on the user benchmarks online for the difference in speed between the 5800X 3D and the 7700X, it's about 7% difference. So what Pimax support have come back with is to say that because I'm running at that below the minimum specs of what they recommend for this headset, that's what's causing these tracking issues. And it might well be. I find it a little bit difficult to believe that, but maybe it is. And also they are working on some enhancements to the tracking algorithm as well in this to make it run on lower spec CPUs, which I did try. They sent me some files that I could overwrite in the Pimax runtime in order to test this, but it didn't actually help at all with my system. So I don't know. It's bizarre to me that the CPU requirements for this headset purely for the 6DOF tracking requires such a high CPU. I can't understand that at all. And this is incidentally why I've not really been making too many videos like as I go through this and try different stuff, because this is happening intermittently, but it's happening enough that it frustrates me when I'm trying to record a video. I've recorded numerous videos with the Pimax Crystal Super, but halfway through, if this tracking incident happens, and it'll only last for sort of 10-20 seconds and then it will revert back, but I don't know when it's going to happen. So it can happen anytime, and I can get frustrated during recording video and stuff like that. So yeah, if you don't have that minimum spec of a 7700X, or I think they said the 12th generation Intel CPU, which really a 5800X 3D is more in line with like a 12th generation Intel CPU anyway. I mean, I don't know enough about this to really comment on it. I'm just very surprised that a 5800X 3D can't cope with the SLAM inside out tracking that this headset has. So yeah, that's disappointing. And so yeah, we'll see anyway. So the other issues with this, the chaperone is useless in my opinion. So you set up this chaperone system around your room and you'll play a game, and then your floor will just change height. If you go into Steam VR, sometimes you'll go into Steam VR, it'll be fine. Other times the floor will be completely out of whack and you need to recalibrate the floor. But the most annoying thing is that when I'm playing something like a seated game, so I'm playing a sim racing game, or I'm playing Elite Dangerous or Microsoft Flight Simulator, all of a sudden, if you have the chaperone enabled, it will appear somewhere off in the distance. You know, you'll just see this green mesh of where it thinks your room is in the distance, and when it does that, it will sort of drop frame rate and cause other problems as well. So this just happens spontaneously as well. So I'll look up sometimes in Elite Dangerous, I'll notice a frame drop, I'll look up and then, oh, my chaperone system, the green outline of my room is about 10 meters above my head. So yeah, I just disable the chaperone and it's all good then from that point on. So yeah, the chaperone system is not working correctly. The other thing is the audio. Yeah, it's not great. Well, it's poor. Without the DMAS, this audio is poor. You'd need to get some sort of headphones and stuff like that to use with it. I'd recommend getting the DMAS anyway. I've not got it on this headset, but I've used it on the original Crystal. Fantastic audio. Yeah, so just wrapping up a few thoughts. So I do think a 5090 is required if you want to make this feel like an upgrade over the original Crystal or the Crystal Lite. I think you need a 5090. I've not tried it with a 5090. I can only believe what others have said. Then you can push it at those higher resolutions in pretty much everything, and hopefully it can still keep up. I think it's difficult to recommend this with a 5080 over the Crystal Lite, really. I mean, you're getting the eye tracking, that's the thing. So you do get a performance benefit with the eye tracking on the Crystal Super as well. So taking that into account, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of moving parts with this headset. But once again, it feels a little bit like Pimax are pushing the specs on this headset and prioritising numbers on a spec sheet over certain other things that people might be interested in. And less so with this than the original Crystal. The original Crystal had this thing with the XR2 chip, a standalone mode, which was effectively useless. You couldn't really do anything with it anyway. This one it's a PC, it's a dedicated PC VR headset, and they're doing a lot of stuff right with this. I really like this headset overall, but you do still feel a little bit like Pimax thinking we've got to get the highest numbers. Whatever anybody else is doing, we need to get those highest resolution numbers, no matter what. Even if it comes at the point where only people with the highest spec GPU in the world can actually run it effectively beyond what they're doing with the original Crystal or the Crystal Lite. So I feel like they prioritize certain things which don't make sense. I mean, I don't know how far they push this. This is the other thing. It's like you've got the Pimax Crystal Super in 2 years' time, and they're going to bring out a Pimax Crystal Super Plus with even higher resolution where people still can't run it at those. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to say about it, and my thoughts are not entirely clear on it either, so it's difficult to say that, because it does look clear, it looks great, it really does. But once again, I do feel like this is a headset, like the original Crystal, like the Crystal Lite. It's really designed for sim gamers, flight simmers, racers, and that kind of stuff. I feel like that's where it's best placed, at least. And it's not to say that you can't use it, especially with this better form factor. I think it will be much better placed to be used with certain other games as well. But I think the primary focus is still on that sim gaming. And even all the emails that you get from Pimax where they're trying to promote this and stuff, it seems to revolve around sim gaming, because that seems to be where they get most of their custom. And I think rightfully so. But people will still get a hell of a lot out of it for playing just, standard first-person shooters and that kind of stuff, I'm quite sure. So I'm still looking over here. Just got a couple of points to get through and then I'll end this. It's been way longer than I intended. I do like this headset, and it is the best Pimax headset I've used overall. Easily, this is the best Pimax headset I've used overall. It's the most expensive Pimax headset I've used as well, but it does the job. And for people that want the best, want the premium, and they own a very, very high-end GPU, then this is probably the the best bang for your buck that you're going to get. It's a very reasonable price for what it's offering. That's the thing about it. And I think they're doing a great job. If it wasn't for the tracking issues, I'd be using this way more as well. And I hope they get it sorted in some future software update, hopefully very soon, because then I can make some more videos on this and enjoy it a little bit more as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I know it's been a little bit rambly. I did just have some bullet points and I didn't script it out or plan on what I wanted to say at all, and I probably should have done. But that's just some raw thoughts after using the Pimax Crystal Super for a few weeks anyway. But thank you very much for watching this one, and I'll see you next time.